Dropped in the interview in which she defended her claims President Trump is a racist and accused him of conning the American people. I want to bring back in Christina Greer. She's a professor of political science at Fordham University. Michael Singleton, a Republican political strategist, joins me as well. Christina, let me turn to you first of all here. Just get your reaction to this. We heard about the specter of there being tapes. Now she's saying this is a tape that was recorded in what's supposed to be one of the most secure parts of the White House complex. What do you make of that? It certainly sounds like John Kelly having a conversation with Omarosa about her termination.
Right. I mean, I'm of two minds. On the one hand, I'm mad that we're even talking about her, right? She's a hustler. She's been with the president for well over 10 years. We know that she's sort of living out this villain persona, and she's trying to sell a book. And the N-word versus the not the N-word, it doesn't matter. Donald Trump essentially uses the N-word every day in his tweets and his communication with the American public. So there's that piece. The other piece, though, is of concern because the level of laziness and incompetence in this particular administration is astounding. Do you all remember when, we had pranksters emailing upper-level administrators in the cabinet, essentially setting up meetings and talking to Jared? And these are, people who had access to individuals. We know the president still uses his cell phone that has no security. So there is this very real concern, not just about Omarosa, but about the fact that if a cell phone could get into the Situation Room, we don't know what else has gotten into the White House, especially since the president is very sympathetic and empathetic to Russia, to Iran, to North Korea, to individuals and institutions and nations that have not always been our allies.
Sure, Michael, I want to get your reaction to that. But before I do that, let me just play a little more of that interview that Chuck Todd did with Omarosa Manigault-Newman. He pushed back on her, asked her about the gall of taping John Kelly, rather. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
I protected myself because this is a White House where everybody lies. The president lies to the American people. Sarah Huckabee stands in front of the country and lies every single day. You have to have your own back, because otherwise you'll look back and you'll see 17 knives in your back.
It looks, though,
that's not disloyalty. That's not disloyalty, because let me tell you, if I didn't have this recording, listen. Yep. People would still think that I was trying to set off alarms. So yes, I had to protect myself, and I have no regret about it.
Sure, Michael, I would venture to say a lot of people wouldn't be thinking about Omarosa. Your reaction to what she said there about this whole business here of having the tapes that she claims to have?
Well, look, it's interesting, David, because I wonder, as I've watched and read about this, why did General Kelly bring her into the Situation Room? That seems to be a bit odd to me. I would imagine if you're going to fire someone, you would just merely bring them into your office and say, hey, thanks for your time. You're no longer wanted. So I do raise a lot of questions about that. Look, it's funny. He talked about her integrity, and I'm not here to debate whether or not people like Omarosa or not. That's up to them. But there are a lot of people in this administration that have integrity issues, and I hate to say this, including General Kelly, who attacked the Florida Congresswoman and did not apologize for a lie he told. He also defended a guy who abused his wife and said this guy was great and should remain in his position, and I could go on and on and on. So regardless of Omarosa's issues that people may perceive publicly, I think this is much bigger than her. There are a lot of issues with a lot of other folks in that administration, and perhaps they should clean house altogether.
Christina, it's been interesting to see the way in which the White House has reacted to this book, which is not yet available on store shelves. The president addressed it yesterday. Maggie Haberman, who is the White House pool reporter, shouted out a question. He called Omarosa a lowlife from his estate in New Jersey. Kellyanne Conway was on Fox News this morning, and she was asked about it. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
I have never heard the President of the United States use a racial slur about anyone. And I never heard Omarosa complain that she had heard the President say it about anyone either when she was there. She's contradicted her own accounts.
I want to ask you about that defense, because Kellyanne Conway said it. I saw a quote from Senator Lindsey Graham, the senior senator from South Carolina, as well. The defense being, I have not heard the President use a racial term. How do you react to that?
I was like, well, I've never, touched the moon, but I know it exists. I mean, I think that's just, it's a low-level hanging defense. I think if you go back to what Michael says, it's like, what happens if this administration cleans house? No one is left. I think that's the genius of Donald Trump. He surrounds himself with characters of such low regard and low vocabulary, everything. And so once they're exposed as to who they really are, Trump can say, well, she was a low life anyway. But then we also have to ask that follow-up question, which is, then why was she able to be in your administration for a year, collecting a salary, representing you and the American public?
A low life, but his low life for the better part of 15 years. Christina Greer, thank you very much for the time on this Sunday. My thanks to Shermichael Singleton as well. We'll be right back, continuing to monitor what's going on in Washington, D.C.
I've seen lots of homes helping new customers bundle and save big. But now it's time to find my dream abode.
Right away, I could tell his priorities were a little unorthodox.
Keep going. Stop. A little bit down. Stop. Back up again. Is this adequate sunlight for a Komodo dragon?
Yeah.
Sure, I want that discount on car insurance just for owning a home, but I'm not